Hey Glam Fam, welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing episode 3 of season 13 of Real Housewives of New Jersey. We pick up at Danielle's house in the middle of the argument between Melissa and Teresa. So Teresa just offers Melissa to be in the wedding because she keeps going on and on about how she doesn't care that she's not in the wedding. So Teresa's like, you know what? Do you want to be in the wedding? After Melissa did all of this complaining and whining about not being in a wedding, you finally got what you wanted and now you don't want it. But they ended up in a good place. They still hugged it out and moved on. So they moved on for the day because y'all know Melissa and Teresa, and it wouldn't be them if that was the end of it. So then we move on to Dolores, who had Paul over, and then Frank was coming over to do his part of the charity photo shoot. Frank arrived, and he had to knock, as he should. Frank and Paul seem cordial. They shake hands, they speak, but they clearly be talking about each other behind each other's backs. So basically, they being fake. So Frank wants to have a guys' night. He wants to go out with the guys because he just, had a health issue. I don't really want to repeat it. But he invites Paul, and Paul doesn't really want to go. So he kind of looks at Dolores, and Frank is like, oh, you need permission? So then they go into their discussion about the boundaries and, Frank having to respect boundaries. And Paul was basically saying that when he first came into the picture, he expected Frank to kind of pull him to the side and have a man-to-man conversation about how the family runs and, the rules and regulations. But he didn't really do that. He actually communicated with Paul through Dolores because he would get Dolores to text Paul. So Paul was basically like, well, that should have been your job. You basically had this woman doing your manly duties, but I'm here now, so I got it. Now, he said all of this to Dolores before, so I like how he said the exact same thing to Frank's face. He kept that same energy. I like Paul. He's very direct. So Jackie, Melissa, and Marge go out to lunch. I'm going to talk about this very briefly. It wasn't too much going on. Basically, what I wanted to talk about is how they asked Jackie about the Danielle situation and how she was kind of looking at her up and down. Jackie says that it was because she didn't like Danielle's outfits. And if Danielle had a problem with this, she should have called her. Why would she call you over something so stupid? Because you didn't like her outfit? So then we move on to Rachel and her family. They're having a photo shoot with their baby, and Rachel wants another baby. I think they said like a few months ago she had a miscarriage. They've gone through the IVF process, and she has 5 embryos, and she wants 4 kids total. They have 2 right now, so I guess she wants 2 more kids. And her husband, he kind of wants to wait. He wants to wait a year. And you just went through a miscarriage. You got to give your body time. But Rachel's like, no, we need it now. The time is ticking. But ain't she only 31? Didn't she tell us she was only 31? So, what's the rush? I mean, some people think 30 is old, though. Some people think once you get to 30, life is over. I don't understand it. So then we move on to Teresa, Louis, Gia, and Gabriella. And Teresa is talking about the conversation that she had with Melissa. And I understand that her daughters are old enough. They're in their 20s. Well, I know Gia is. I don't know how old Gabriella is. But I don't know. I don't like how, she's talking about this in front of them. Because even though they're old enough now, these issues go back a long time, back to when they was kids. They really don't know how things started. They've lived through it. You can't really get mad at them for having an opinion because they have lived through it and these things have affected them. But I just don't think Teresa should be talking about this stuff in front of them because they don't know everything. They were kids when the issue started, so they really don't know what's going on. Now, they do seem mature about it. I don't feel like Teresa's brainwashing them. And I feel like to some extent they do have opinions based on the things that they've seen and experienced for themselves. I don't think it's Teresa just completely telling them everything. I just don't think they should be involved. In the midst of them talking about this, Gabriella broke out in hives. So clearly this situation is very stressful. So then Melissa and Danielle go shopping at Melissa's boutique. And Melissa carried the bone to Danielle about what Jackie said about her outfit. This just isn't very smart of Jackie because Jackie, you was just complaining about not being in the conversations, right? So you want to be on camera. You want to be involved. You can't be pissing off the new cast members talking about outfits and and creating problems just because you don't like people's outfits. Because then you're not going to get invited nowhere. And then you're really not going to get no camera time. So then Melissa brings up Teresa. I don't know why she just randomly brought up Teresa. So then Danielle starts talking about her family issues. And now I get why she took Teresa's side, because she kind of is a mini Teresa. She's having the same issues with her brother and his wife because her brother made fun of her on Instagram one day and she blocked him. And I guess that was the straw that had broke the camel's back because they had already been having issues because she was too involved in her brother and wife's relationship, kind of like Teresa. But yeah, once they had that little Instagram situation and she blocked him off of her Instagram, he then didn't invite her to the wedding. And they haven't spoken since, and it's been like 2 years. So yeah, it's kind of similar to Teresa and Melissa's situation. She was saying like, the wife, she causes the problem. She's in the way of me and my brother making up. And I knew when she was saying this stuff, I already knew Melissa was gonna defend the wife. Because if Danielle is the mini Teresa, then the wife would be Melissa. So I wasn't shocked when Melissa was defending the wife. So yeah, Danielle brings a pretty interesting dynamic to the group. So then we move on to Jennifer and Bill with their kids. Jennifer is trying to teach these kids some responsibility. She tells them that they need to start doing chores and she will pay them. Now, when I was a kid, my mom used to pay us to do chores. There used to be a list of chores on the door with the prices beside them, like how much you would get for doing the chores. We would make no more than like $10 to $20 a week, I want to say. But I was a kid, my parents were paying for everything, so I didn't really need the money like that. It was just a way to teach us, responsibility and about working. And it did what it needed to do. It teaches you about, how you work in the real world and you make money in the real world. Plus, the cost of living was different back then. Now, Bill seems to be more of the stricter parent and Jennifer is more of the laid-back parent. She has offered to pay these kids minimum wage, which the minimum wage in New Jersey is $14 an hour. So she's paying these kids $14 an hour for chores. Now, I'm with Bill. That's a little too much, but maybe she's paying these kids according to their lifestyle. But it's some adults out here making $14 an hour. So the kids are cleaning. Jennifer and Bill are talking, and Jennifer is telling him about her argument with Dolores and how Dolores said she doesn't self-reflect. So she asked Bill. She was like, Bill, I self-reflect, right? He didn't really answer the question. He was just like, everybody's personalities are different. That's pretty much what he said. So yeah, Bill doesn't really seem to have Jennifer's back. Not that she needs it, but it would be nice. Then we move on to Melissa and Joe. Melissa has her mom and sister over, and the four of them are going to talk about, drum roll please, Teresa! Woo! So surprised. So the mom and the sister weren't invited to Teresa's wedding. I don't know why they even thought they would be. And Joe was looking at it like, well, when Teresa was with Joe Giudice, his family got an invite to their wedding, but that's because, or the Gorgas got invited to Teresa and Joe's. I don't know. It was something like that. Either way, when Teresa was with Joe Giudice, Joe Gorga and Joe Giudice's family was good and they was at each other's wedding. But that's because they had history, right? Like Joe Giudice and Joe Gorga, they were close. Like they had history. Joe Giudice was really close with their father. So that's why that happened. Now with Louis, you don't know Louis and you don't even like Louis and Louis don't even like you. So why would your mom and your sister be invited to her wedding? But what I do like about Joe and Melissa in this particular scene is that they told the kids to leave. Now, whether they were just doing that for the TV, and I don't know if they have these discussions in front of the kids off camera, I don't know. But I just like how they appear to not have the kids involved. Yeah, so they send the kids away and they had their conversation. I'm not going to get into the conversation because it's the same thing every single week at this point. But basically, Joe is planning on confronting Louis at the guys' night, which he did. I don't think it went how he thought it was going to go, but he did what he said he was going to do. So we get to Frank's guys' night, and Paul chose not to come because he had to work. I don't believe that he had to work. But then again, Paul is a very direct person, and if he didn't want to go, I personally think he would have just been like, I don't want to go because it's uncomfortable. So he said he had to work. Okay. Frank, admits that he still has feelings for Dolores, but, he has to fall back because he sees that she's happy. And, that's the mature thing to do. So then they start talking about Louis, and Joe just starts venting about how he gonna call Louis garbage and all of this stuff. And as he's saying these things, Louis walks in. Joe definitely kept that same energy because he immediately asked Louis, why wasn't my wife's mom and sister invited to your wedding? And Louis basically tells him because we have drama. Because we've been having drama for years. Duh. So the convo starts getting heated. Y'all know Joe can't control his emotions. He's telling Louis, mind your business. You ain't even been here that long. You don't know what's going on. F you. Don't talk to me like that. You're not a real man. He starts slamming on tables. Like, Joe is doing the most.
You don't know, bro. You've been here 1 minute.
Joe, I've been in your sister's life for almost 2 years.
Just be quiet, all right? Tough guy. You.
You can't say
you. You're not a man, bro. You're a pussy. You know why?
So let's not.
No.
Are you saying I'm not a man? Are you saying I'm not a man?
We're not insulting the manhood.
He's being a child. And Louis basically says that he pretty much blamed everything on Teresa. He said Teresa makes the invitations, Teresa decides who comes and who doesn't, and he just goes along with it. Now, in that sense, that does prove Joe's point in the sense of you're not a man, because I'm not saying that I agree with Joe, but I'm just saying, like, for Louis to put all of this on Teresa, like he doesn't have a say in his own wedding, that does kind of prove Joe's point a little bit. Because this is your wedding too. This isn't just Teresa's wedding. This is your wedding too. You should be able to invite who you want to invite. Well, or y'all should come to an agreement or a compromise about who you both choose to invite. It shouldn't just be Teresa making the invite list. Now, I don't think Louis would have wanted to invite them either. So I don't really like how he put all that on Teresa, because I'm pretty sure he didn't want them showing up either. Now, Joe starts talking about how he's hurt because him and his family aren't going to the wedding or asked to be in it. But Melissa was asked to be in it. She declined. So if y'all gonna come up here and play the victim and lie and have this fake storyline, at least have the storyline together. Melissa's over here talking about she don't care if she in the wedding or not, and she turned down her invitation to be in the wedding, and you over here talking about you so hurt and everybody so hurt because y'all not in the wedding. Like, which one is it? Louis is actually being the mature one in the conversation. He's actually trying to be mature about the situation. Things calm down a little bit, and Louis suggests that Joe and Teresa once again try to talk out their issues, and Joe declines. Joe did all this whining about how he has no relationship with his sister, and then when Louis actually makes a great suggestion to work on the relationship with his sister, he doesn't want to do it. It's clear who the drama is at this point, and all they're doing is proving Teresa right for not wanting them to be involved in the wedding. If you don't feel like this conversation can go anywhere or the problem can be solved, what are we talking about? What's the point of going around complaining to everybody? But anyway, Louis eventually gets Joe to change his mind. So him and Teresa will talk next week, and the episode ends there. So next week, we see a preview of Teresa and Joe having their phone conversation. Obviously, nothing is going to get resolved. Danielle also confronts Jackie about talking about her clothes. And Jennifer and Rachel go at it. Oh yeah, that was this week's episode. We got a little bit more into everybody's personal storylines and their family dynamics this episode. I really liked it. I like when the ladies are all together too, but at the moment, the drama is really petty and stupid. So I'm actually really enjoying their family time. To me, the most interesting storyline right now is definitely the Dolores, Frank, Paul situation. That's the most interesting story to me right now. Because it's almost like these two guys are kind of fighting over Dolores. I mean, Frank's not really doing too much. He knows Dolores has moved on and is happy, but you can still see the feelings there. But Paul is not playing any games. Paul is here to stay. So that's definitely my favorite story so far of the season. Y'all let me know who y'all are most interested in right now. I know a lot of people like Danielle. I do like Danielle too. I think she's a good addition to the show. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all thought about that in the comment section down below. Stay happy, healthy, and all of that good stuff, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.